4 defeats on the trot, and to come back from a goal down so early was pleasing, and one of these days we might score more than 2.
Hull's 5-match unbeaten run was rudely interrupted by Brighton, whose free-kick routine worked to perfection. Paul Watson and Danny Cullip setting up Matthew Wicks virtually beneath the crossbar. Hull were lacking both their Jamaican internationals, but they did have Trinidadian Clint Marcel, who brought the save of the match out of Michael Kuipers. And it was former Sheffield United man Paul Rodgers who rounded off Brighton's 5th consecutive victory to leave Brian Little beaten but not downhearted.
For 65, 70 minutes we've more than held our own against a talented team, and I think we've come some way so far this season, but we've still got a long way to go.
Well, there were a handful of matches in the 3rd Division this afternoon. Here's how they finished. Barnet 0, Macclesfield 2, Blackpool 2, Southend United 2 and Torquay 1, Leyton Orient 2. So, Chesterfield are now 5 points clear at the top of the table and Scunthorpe move up to 6th. However, down at the bottom, it is still Halifax propping up the rest. It's still very early days, it's still very tight, but only 7 points separate Mansfield in 13th from Halifax at the foot of that table. Now, our regular trawl through the archives. Leeds United may be going pretty well in the Champions League this season, but a quarter of a century ago, they were acknowledged as the team to beat in Europe. Jason McCartney's been to meet one of the class of 75.
For the first of this season's Blasts from the Past, I've come to Mooralton Golf Club near Wetherby for a charity golf day to meet Terry Yorath.
Terry, thanks for agreeing to do our first Blast from the Past for this season then. Which game have you picked and why?
The 1975 European Cup final against Bayern Munich. Obviously it was a huge disappointment to the players and the fans of the club. You're playing a cup final like that, which not many people do. It wasn't a great game, but overall it was a disappointment. It was a typical, really, England versus Germany game. Nobody was giving anything, nobody was taking any liberties, and I think we started the second half off very brightly. And from there on, we had the goal disallowed. It's kind of bounced 2 or 3 times and gone in the back of the net. And the sheer disappointment of it, we having goal disallowed at one end and them scoring at the other. Gray came on for me with about 15 minutes to go, I think, 20 minutes to go, and that's when the crowd trouble was starting to happen. And I can remember I had to walk on the end where the Leeds fans were, and I'm trying to say to them, cool down, and the seats flying over my head, and going on the pitch, and I didn't know whether they meant them for me because I'd had a poor game, or whether they meant them for the referee. It was a bad night all round for Leeds.
Have you seen the referee since then?
I hope not.
Would you like to?
No, thanks, no.
Yeah, that was Terry Yorath with some not-so-happy European memories. And that was 25 years ago. Don't forget, we'll be following Leeds United's current European campaign in the Champions League here on YTV. The whole of their upcoming game against Besiktas in Istanbul live on Yorkshire Television a week on Wednesday. And here's another date for your diary. Wednesday, the 1st of November, the Sheffield Derby. Sheffield Wednesday against Sheffield United. Highlights exclusively here on YTV. That's the midweek match. Before that, of course, we'll be back again next week, same time, for more Goals on Sunday. Till then, good night.
Senegal and proved to be a liar. Oh, Ali Dyer. Fit never tough.
Here's our man in training with Premier Division Southampton and very nearly scoring against Leeds United. We've slowed the shot down because it really was the briefest of Premiership careers. Ali Dia was way out of his league, though he doesn't think so.
Oh yeah, I play for my country, yeah. I'm full international.
No, you're not.
Ginola is my big fan. I know him very well.
No.
I play in front of 100,000 people.
You've done what?
I played in front of 100,000 people in Senegal.
Come on, no stadium in Senegal holds that many people. The Ali Dia story kicked off in November 1996. At the time, Southampton were minding their own business. They, after all, had Matt Le Tissier, star of England, who'd scored more than 100 Premiership goals for Saints. He was, and still is, their Beckham. Who could ask for more? Then manager Graham Souness received a hot tip from George Weah, World Footballer of the Year.
He said he had a relative, who had played football in France and was interested in playing football, and would we have a look at him?
Which they did. Ali Dia, aged 31, French Senegalese, a complete unknown, but Souness wasn't put off.
It doesn't matter who phones up and says who he is. The King of Siam phones up. It doesn't matter if the player turns up, we get a chance to look at him.
And everyone agreed Ali Dia certainly talked a good game.
I think a quick play up front with good dribbling could bring us something.
It was enough to convince Souness, who put him in the squad. When the news reached Tyneside, the manager of Blythe Spartans, struggling in the Unibond League, couldn't believe his ears.
I opened the newspaper and there was a column saying Ali Dia, who'd just been training with us the week before, was going to play for Southampton, which came as a great surprise to not just me but everyone who knew him. Next thing I knew, I was watching him on Match of the Day and watched him playing for Southampton, which was, pretty unbelievable at the time.
And play he did. 32 minutes into Southampton's Premiership game against Leeds, Dia was on the pitch.
You're unbelievable.
His brief glory was thanks to the injured Le Tissier, and blow me, Ali nearly scored. It was as good as it got.
The one thing I can remember about it is that he didn't touch the ball too many times, and I think we whipped him off after about 40 minutes or something. He didn't do so well. He was out of his depth.
So Ali's career in the Premiership lasted just 43 minutes. The press were merciless.
Absolutely diabolical.
After that game, we knew that he was never going to be any good to us, so it was then that we decided to let him go.
And what about that hot tip from George Weah? Did he phone Southampton's manager?
I don't think I could have done that. And I think he's an impersonator, because what he done, he tried to impersonate. He used my name, and it was not true.
George Weah, where all the stuff going from, is always also a good friend of our family. We have pictures with him, my sister, everything. So I know many people, yeah.
I don't think to be a professional player you have to lie, you have to impersonate. I don't think it's right.
After Southampton, it was downhill all the way. Ali Dia joined Gateshead, but he was still blagging.
Ginola is my big friend. I know him very well. While he was at Newcastle, yeah, we socialized.
No, I remember all my life at Newcastle and all the years before, and I didn't socialize with a lot of people. It's not because I'm not someone who like to socialize, but when you're a football player, you have to make sure that not everyone who's coming to you introduce himself should be your friend.
Ali Dia produced this photograph.
I know the one on the right, that's for sure. I think I know this face because maybe I saw him in a player lounge somewhere, but as a person, as a friend, or as someone I can recommend to someone else, not at all. But it's to have a picture like that is very easy. You come in a player lounge because I'm very nice. You ask me, David, can I have a picture? And you have a picture with me. So.
Well, we know he played for Gateshead, but did Ali Dia ever play for Paris Saint-Germain, or his own country, as he boasted to his teammates?
We checked out the Senegal while he was training with us and looked really a lot of fantasy in it. And it used to be a leg pulling. He was such an approachable, nice guy that all you would get is a beautiful white teeth smile whenever you mentioned anything of this sort.
Obviously, no one knows about me then. I play with Senegal, definitely. Yeah.
To be fair, the Tyneside fans got rather fond of Ali Dia. He did, after all, score against Bath.
Absolutely electric. Scored 2, made 3, and absolutely destroyed them.
And he scored against Telford, so there were 2 goals in his British football career.
At non-league level, he was okay. But he wasn't special, which is the reason we let him go. But I mean, the thoughts of him being a Premier League player, apart from in the old Ali's mind, is ludicrous.
Dear, onwards and downwards, Ali Dia's last football outing was with Spennymoor. The club narrowly missed relegation. Ali Dia left after a month. The nearest he got to Newcastle was posing for the pub team photo. Now even Ali has perhaps come round to the idea that maybe football's not for him.
Ali Dia.
This summer he graduated in business studies. Of that at least we can be sure.
Of course, I've done things wrong. My career should maybe take other ways or whatever, because I do believe that you don't play for as long as I play when you don't have ability.
He was a nice lad. A nice lad.
His personality was great.
A nice lad.
Yeah.
He's played in the Premier League. I wish I'd played in the Premier League.
I mean, I actually believe that Ali half believes everything that he says about his career.
I think that I make wrong choices, and I'm enough man to admit it. But as far as going, telling people lies or whatever, no, I won't go that far because I never did. Simple as that.
Hey, Macarena.
Good evening, welcome to Goals on Sunday, and that's just what we've got for you this evening. A feast of entertainment at Oakwell, 7 goals, but it's heartbreak for Dave Bassett against his old club. Heartbreak too for Wednesday, 7 straight defeats, their worst run for over a century. Meanwhile, the Spyrites goes so close to 7 straight wins. Yes, we've got extended highlights of Chesterfield's trip to Exeter later in the programme. And we'll be hearing from the York City manager Terry Dolan, who's reflecting on one of his most memorable matches in our Blast from the Past. But we start at Oakwell. It's Barnsley against Nottingham Forest. There are 3 ex-Forest players in the Barnsley lineup, Steve Chettle, Ian Wone and Neil Shipley. And there's a place in defence for Uruguayan summer signing Mateo Corbo. Now, Forest included Robbie Blake on loan from Bradford City for his first start, along with the former Grimsby striker Jack Lester. 20th now. But in fact, there's not an awful lot of change down at the foot of the table because of the bottom 9, only Plymouth Argyle won yesterday. Mansfield have moved into the top half of the table with that win against Shrewsbury. Scunthorpe are down from 6th to 8th, just outside the playoff places. But Chesterfield is still 5 points clear at the top, and there's a big game coming up on Tuesday night. That's a trip to second place Rochdale. Well, now our regular trawl through the archives. Here's Jason McCartney with our Blast from the Past.
For this week's Blast from the Past, I've come to the historic city of York to meet the former Bradford City, Hull and Rochdale boss, Terry Dolan.
Terry, thanks very much for agreeing to do our Blast from the Past this week. Which game have you picked and why?
Well, I suppose I'll have to pick the one it's the other one where you got film of me scoring a goal, and that was the FA Cup tie against West Ham. They were known as the sort of footballing team of the First Division as it was then, and the players that they had in the team, you know, Bobby Moore, Trevor Brooking, Pop Robson, and we managed to turn them over 4-2.
Brooking there, Dolan's shoulder, and a first-timer! A goal! He scored! Lawson!
When gone 1-0 we thought, you know, if we can hold out till half-time, then, you know, it's going to be an interesting second half.
Redknapp unmarked. Hurst, Robson and Brooking up. Robson! It's there! He's got it on the stroke of half-time!
They got the equaliser and went in at half-time thinking, well, it's going to be hard work now in this second half.
Now, what can you remember of your goal?
Not a lot. The only times I can remember it is when it's shown on television. But the ball got played into me and I had my back turned to goal and I just swiveled and hit it and hoped, basically, and it flew in the bottom corner.
A goal! He's got it! Dolan has scored a surprise right-footer!
Have you scored many so far that season?
Not really, because I'd just got into the team. I'd only been at the club for 12 months. So I was just establishing myself in the team. So it was an exciting time to be part of that club at that time.
What about your sideburns and your hair, though?
Yeah, it's disappeared now, hasn't it? That just shows you what happens when you've been in football for 30-odd years.
Free kick taken by Hunt. Even Clark has gone up into the penalty area. He must feel that the time is ripe. And that's going near him. 3 West Ham, Jaya shot! A goal! There's the third! It's young Smith, I think. David Smith.
Dave Smith scored, and he was just getting into the team at that time as well. So for both of us to score was something special. And yeah, I think Dave, or the last time I'd heard about Dave, I think he was a building society manager.
Now, the commentator was a little bit unkind to Huddersfield.
Yes, I'd not heard it at the time, and just seeing the rerun of it now.
And one can hardly believe that this Huddersfield Town side, winning by 3-1, is the same fumbling outfit that can't do anything right in the league.
Wait till I see Keith Macklin, who was a little bit unkind to us, wasn't he?
Lawson. Chapman into penalty area. Chance for the fourth. Didn't run for him. But Les Chapman still going. And a good cross. A header. 4. Worthington. And he's in an ecstasy.
They got the second goal near the end. Clyde Best, I think, got their second goal. But to beat them was something special.
Now, what happened in the 6th round, the quarter-finals?
We ended up playing Birmingham at St Andrews. The year before, Terry Poole had a broken leg, was carried off with a broken leg, and in the quarter-final Dave Lawson was carried off, both after challenges by Bob Latchford. And there was nobody else in the team daft enough to go in goal, so I picked up the gloves and went in goal. We were 1-0 down at the time. Trevor Cherry equalised to make it 1-1, and then unfortunately yours truly conceded 2 in the second half. We went out 3-1. And we could have been looking forward to a semi-final against Leeds United that year.
So you didn't fancy picking that as your Blast from the Past game?
Definitely not, so don't you dare show that.
Well, sorry, Terry, and I know you're watching. We didn't actually think that we did have that game in our archives, but here it is. It's the FA Cup quarter-final at St Andrews, and the scoring didn't go quite as Terry remembers it. Yes, the score was 1-0 when David Lawson was stretchered off. Birmingham were ahead, though, thanks to a cracking strike from Malcolm Page. Then they actually went 2 up. Here now, Terry in goal, looking just a little bit bewildered as Bob Latchford adds a second. And it was then that Trevor Cherry, now on the board at Huddersfield, scored with a header from a free kick, and that pulled it back to 2-1. But Birmingham went on to make it 3-1. Not much protection for Terry here, as Bob Hatton it is who pokes the ball past him. Well, we'll get back up to date now because that's just about it. Just before we go, here's confirmation of the final score in the one Premiership match played this afternoon. It's Derby County 0, Liverpool 4. A hat-trick there for Emile Heskey. Now, 2 dates for your diary. Coming up on Wednesday night, only in the Yorkshire TV region, the whole of Leeds United's Champions League Group H clash with Besiktas, live from Istanbul, and that programme starts at 7:30. By the way, you can see highlights of Manchester United against PSV Eindhoven later that night. The programme starts at 11:30. Now, on November the 1st, that's a Wednesday night, the midweek match will feature highlights of the Sheffield Derby Wednesday against United in the third round of the Worthington Cup at Hillsborough. Meanwhile, we'll be back again same time next week with more Goals on Sunday. Good night.
Nationwide Football League Extra.
Nationwide Football League Extra, supported by Nationwide Building Society, official sponsor of the Football League.